We hear so much about brands using AI, but honestly, a lot of it kind of misses the point. The real revolution here, it's not about the flashy tech. It's about using AI to build something way more valuable and a whole lot harder to earn, and that's customer trust. And this quote, it really gets to the heart of the problem, doesn't it? I mean, when a generic AI just confidently invents a product feature that doesn't exist or gets the return policy completely wrong, that's not just some harmless error, it's not a bug. To a customer, it feels like the brand itself is lying to them, and that is a massive breach of trust, something that is incredibly hard to win back. So that breach of trust really highlights this huge dilemma for brands trying to use AI right now. It's like this broken promise sitting right in the middle of the customer experience. And it all comes down to being stuck between a rock and a hard place. Basically, two really bad options. Okay, so for way too long, brands have been caught between these two terrible choices. On one side, you've got the old school rules-based bots. Yeah, they're safe, but they're also super rigid and just endlessly frustrating, right? On the other side, you have this incredibly powerful generic AI that can just make stuff up, hallucinate, and fail in the most unpredictable ways. So you're forced to choose. Do you want a rigid, known failure or a completely random, trust-shattering one? Not a great choice. And here's the kicker. To make matters even worse, this is all happening at the exact moment the old way of understanding customers is just collapsing. Think about it. New privacy laws, big platform changes. It all means that relying on third-party data just isn't a strategy anymore. Brands are pretty much flying blind. So this whole situation, it's screaming for a totally new model. We're not just talking about a slightly better chatbot here. We're talking about a whole new engine for building customer intelligence. And that's exactly where something called Brand RAG, or Retrieval-Augmented Generation, comes into the picture. All right, so let's break down what this actually means. A Brand RAG chatbot is an AI system that is, and this is the most important word, grounded. What does that mean? It means it can only pull information from a brand's own verified knowledge. We're talking about its official product specs, its actual policies, its approved content. This is not about the AI being creative or making things up. It's about being 100% correct. The entire goal is to earn trust with every single interaction. And when you put them side by side, the difference is just profound. Traditional bots are rigid. Generic AI is totally ungrounded. But Brand RAG, it's accurate and it's brand safe. It's not just there to answer a question and disappear. No, it builds proprietary data for the brand. The interactions aren't just one-offs. They build a real, persistent memory. The whole goal shifts. It goes from being purely transactional to being genuinely relationship-driven. So the big question is, how does this actually work under the hood? Well, it's all built on this really elegant idea called the two-loop system. And you can think of this as the engine that drives everything, both the immediate help and the long-term trusted growth. Okay, so the first loop is what we call the help loop. This is the part you see, the real-time chat. And it's super simple and incredibly disciplined. A customer asks a question, the system goes and retrieves the answer. But, and this is key, only from that approved verified brand knowledge. And then it gives the answer. That's it. There's zero room for making things up or hallucinating. It is all about giving a trustworthy answer right here, right now. And I can't stress this enough. This first loop is the absolute foundation of everything. It has to be accurate, it has to be fast, and it has to be clear. Because let's be honest, if a brand can't even give you a straight, correct answer to a simple question, well, no amount of fancy personalization later on is ever going to fix that broken trust. If this part fails, nothing else matters. But this is where the real magic happens, in the second loop. This is the growth loop, and it's what makes this whole system so incredibly powerful over time. See, every conversation in that help loop, it generates these little signals, clues about what the user is interested in or what problem they're trying to solve. Then, and this is crucial, the system has to earn consent to remember this information. Once it does, those signals turn into a memory, a piece of consented first-party data. And that memory can then be used to provide real, relevant value down the road. Now, what's so critical about this growth loop is what it optimizes for. It's all about relevance, timing, and maybe most importantly, restraint. The goal here is absolutely not to just blast users with marketing emails. No way. It's about using that earned understanding to be helpful at the perfect moment with the perfect message. And just as important, respecting the user enough to stay silent when there's nothing truly valuable to add. Okay, so this naturally brings us to what is probably the most strategic and, let's face it, the most sensitive part of this entire system, how it actually handles memory and uses it for personalization in a way that's responsible. So the system basically uses two different kinds of memory. First, there's short-term memory. Think of this as just for the current chat session. It's there to keep the conversation coherent, and then poof, it's gone. It gets discarded. But then there's the long-term memory. And this is the real strategic asset. It sticks around, it's explicitly consented to, it's fully auditable. You can think of it as the official, trusted record of what the brand is allowed to know about you. Which, of course, leads us to the billion-dollar question, right? The one that literally every brand is struggling with. How do you actually use that data to personalize an experience without crossing that line and just being creepy? Well, the answer is actually surprisingly simple. What's fascinating here is that creepiness isn't really about how much a brand knows about you. It's all about surprising you with what it knows. Good, responsible personalization just feels like continuity. It naturally connects back to something you asked about recently. It makes the whole experience feel like one single, helpful conversation, not like you're under surveillance. All right, so let's tie this all together. When you zoom out, what does this new model of AI actually mean for a business? What's the real, lasting competitive advantage we're talking about? To put it simply, this system creates what you could call a first-party data moat. Think about it. Over time, the brand develops this incredibly rich, consented, and totally unique understanding of its customers, and it comes directly from real conversations. This is not data you can just go out and buy. You can't scrape it. It's an asset that is earned, one trusted conversation at a time, and that becomes incredibly difficult for any competitor to copy. Because here's the thing you have to understand about today's world. The moat, it's no longer the AI model itself, not anymore. Access to super powerful AI is quickly becoming a commodity. I mean, pretty much anyone can rent the same intelligence from the same handful of big tech companies. That is not a sustainable advantage. No, the real, durable advantage, the thing that will actually set a brand apart for years to come, is the memory it has built with its customers. It's the grounding of its AI in its own unique truth, and it's the trust that holds that entire relationship together. And so this really leaves us with one crucial question that every brand needs to ask itself. With every single customer interaction you have, is your AI strategy building up that precious asset of trust, or is it just spending it?